Let's turn now to next year's election. The field to unseat Governor Greg Abbott is growing.
Abbott is seeking a fourth term. His lone Republican challenger is Ronnie Toulos of Splendora. The winner of the Republican primary will face one of the four Democrats looking to flip the seat. Austin State Representative Gina Hinojosa is the latest candidate in the race. Gina Hinojosa is the daughter of Gilberto Hinojosa, who served 12 years as chair of the Texas Democratic Party.
She launched her campaign with a call for change.
About putting Texans first and not the billionaire class that is currently being prioritized by Governor Abbott.
Now, Governor Abbott at this point has nearly $100 million in his campaign account, if not more. He hasn't come close to being beat since 2014 when he first won an election for governor. How do you beat him?
Well, he can keep his dirty campaign money, and we'll have the people of Texas with us. It was just revealed last month in a bombshell report by an independent watchdog group that Greg Abbott has given almost $1 billion in no-bid contracts to his donors. That is a level of corruption the likes of which we have not seen in Texas. Greg Abbott is the most corrupt governor in Texas history, and people are starting to understand. If you look at the latest polling, the governor is underwater in the state of Texas. He's underwater generally with independents and with Latinos. So people have found out who Governor Abbott is. People want change all over the state. I'm hearing from people that it is time for change. Governor Abbott has a record of almost 12 years in office. He's trying to win an unprecedented fourth historic term, but his record is one of higher housing costs, schools in crisis. Even in Fort Worth today, we have the takeover of a school district that is a crisis of Greg Abbott's making.
In your opening statement, you said something about how you're campaigning against the billionaires that have a lot of influence in the state of Texas. That's something we also heard from Representative Tallarico in his race for a U.S. Senate. Is that something you are hearing on the ground?
So both James Tallarico and I have had the experience over the last several years of leading the fight against Greg Abbott's voucher scam, which we all know was deeply influenced by the largest campaign contribution in Texas history, which was $6 million from an out-of-state billionaire, Jeff Yaz, who is involved in private equity and has interests in this new voucher program. So we see the problems in Texas through that lens. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And it is interesting that with every single issue we have in Texas, there is that connection. The people of Texas might not understand why they don't feel safe on the streets, why their schools are in crisis, why healthcare is unaffordable. We now, having been on the inside, know too much. And so part of my job is to explain to people, this is why we don't have the Texas that we deserve.
The Democrats have a lot of billionaires on their side, too. If Reid Hoffman, George Soros, another Democratic billionaire comes and gives you $6 million to take on Governor Abbott in this election, you would say what?
Well, I'll say that anybody can give contributions to me. I'm happy to take them. We have to raise money to launch a campaign that we can get our message across in. But if you look at my donations, most of my donations are small dollar donations throughout this state. And my record is one of fighting for Texas taxpayers. Look, I had a press conference during the legislative session with MAGA moms with me, and it was in support of my bill to do zero-based budgeting for public education. Wipe the slate clean at the state level of all the vendor contracts, and let's prioritize teacher pay, and then let's look at special education funding that is the most underfunded of the whole school finance system, and then let's invest in school safety, which is a big concern of parents. So my record is one of really putting aside those moneyed interests, focusing on the needs of the classroom and kids. And the reason why we don't do this very basic common sense thing, the reason why Governor Abbott stands in the way is because his friends don't get rich off of paying teachers their worth.
A lot of folks in the legislature, the House and the Senate, are leaving and running for other office. Some senators don't have to give up their seat, but is that indicative of how people feel about serving in the legislature?
Things are bad. I'd say things are broken. When legislators fear voting the interests of their districts because they fear the campaign cash that the governor will put in against them that comes from his billionaire donors who have interests, there's something broken. So there's a lot of frustration in the House, both on the Republican and the Democratic side.